You know, everyone's coming in every single day to get better as a team. You know, that no one thinks, you know, they're too good for, you know, this opportunity. Everyone knows that we got to keep on working, keep on finding ways to get better, because people are going to come in, other teams are going to come in and give us their best shot. Every single time we step out on the practice field, we're always competing. We're trying to get better in the meeting rooms, out on the field, wherever it is. So it's a good vibe, though. It's a fun vibe, too, around this building. And but at the same time, we're working. So just overall, it's good days at work here.
So we start our conversation with the champs, and we start our NFL Now coverage today with our champions of NFL coverage, Judy Battista and Jim Trotter. And Judy, I'll start with you. Did the rubber chicken circuit get them? Or is this team in a great position to go back-to-back and win another Super Bowl?
I thought Gronk used the right word there. He said they've got a great vibe. And when I was down there during training camp in Tampa, I talked to the quarterbacks coach, Clyde Christensen, and he said, you know, some teams you wouldn't want to bring everybody back. You need new blood. You need to make changes. He said that was not the case with this group. He said even last year, before the offense really got clicking, and you remember they didn't get clicking until about the last month of the season, he said nobody panicked. He said it was a really tight group. They were really working well together. He said, you know, they only got going really in that last month. He said the Super Bowl, he thought, was their most efficient offensive performance of the season. He said, and even then, they still were not firing on all cylinders. They expect this season to be more efficient, fewer penalties, fewer turnovers. He feels like they are starting from where they were at the Super Bowl and going from there. And that is because they didn't have to bring anybody along. There was no learning curve for coaches or players. Everybody's back. They are in a great position.
You know, Judy, this reminds me of the Mike Tyson quote. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And the reality is the reason no team has repeated since 03-04 is because it's difficult. When every Sunday you are that opponent's Super Bowl, it's hard to maintain that intensity over the course of a season. I remember having that conversation with Troy Polamalu about that after the Steelers won one of their Super Bowls, and he said you don't know what it's like until you actually go through it. So from my standpoint, Gronk's been through it, Brady's been through it, but there are a lot of guys and coaches on the staff who have never been through it. And so from that standpoint, I say it's great to talk that way, but until you get in this situation and you go through it, it's difficult.
Yeah, and it's difficult, Jim, and I'll get this to you here, Judy, when you do it in your mid-40s. And if that wasn't enough, Tom Brady further humiliates us mere mortals by doing it on a torn MCL. He says that he feels the most healthy he has in years. He's no longer going to wear that sleeve. Kind of walk us through where Brady is with his body going in, because it's never happened before to the 2021 campaign.
Yeah, again, when I was at training camp, he had nothing on his knee, no wrap, no sleeve, nothing. Again, Clyde Christensen said last year, Brady just never felt right. He never felt good. His knee was taped very heavily, so it restricted his movement. He couldn't really step completely into throws. He was never on the injury report. There was never any chance he wasn't going to play. But he said he compared it to going to work every day with a headache. You can go to work and you might say it's just a headache, but you never feel good. Brady never felt good last year. Now he feels good. Yes, he's 44 years old, but he's fully healthy in a way he was not last year. He is feeling as good as he has, he said it himself, for the last few years.
Well, you know, I kind of chuckle at this because even if Tom's knee is fully healthy, it's not like he's going to turn into Michael Vick here and start scrambling for 1,000 yards. He's a pocket passer. He's a stationary passer. So from that standpoint, I understand some of the being uncomfortable. But in terms of affecting his game, it did not affect his game last season. So for me, the larger question for the Bucs is the overall health of this team. They had a number of veterans last year who went through the season without being injured, without missing games. And one of the things we know that can derail a club, particularly even a Super Bowl club, is injuries. So for me, that's what I'm going to watch. I'm not worried about Tom and whether his knee is fully healthy because he showed what he can do playing on that knee last year. For me, it's about the other players and veteran players who can they stay healthy in terms of how this team does for the long haul.
All right, well, that is just a start. Plenty more to come from the J&J Football News Factory. Judy and Jim getting us started on a great note. And now we go to what's new right now, and that is the Hard Knocks. Now, they were kind of rocking, too. Cameras, they have left, and Cowboys head coach Mike McCarthy muttered that he can now get back to being a more genuine coach with his team, a team that takes their talents to Tampa this coming Thursday.
This is plan specific. Every rep that we take has a specific goal, obviously how we're running it, but really the look we're anticipating from Tampa. But we're also the reality of playing in these first 2 or 3 games each year. You know, there's going to be 35, potentially 40% unscouted looks. I mean, that's what the history of this league will tell you. So, we're really focusing on the things that we feel will definitely be, executed and giving our guys